Okay, so this lesson is called Working with Equations, number 2. So we're going to be solving equations with brackets. So to solve an equation with brackets, we need to expand using the distributive property first. Then we follow the steps to solve. Okay. So, the first one right here, we have a 2 outside the brackets, so we're going to take that 2 and multiply it by everything inside of the bracket. Okay? So first things first, 2 times x is 2x, and then 2 times positive 1 is positive 2, and then we have equals 10. Okay, now like the other lessons, we keep our equal sign lined up, and then we have variables on one side like our 2x, so I'll put it here. And then this positive 2 we're going to bring over, and it turns to a negative 2. So we're going to have 10 minus 2. So now we have 2x equals 10 minus 2, which is 8. And then in order to solve for x, we have to divide by 2 because it's multiplied by 2. If you do it on one side, you do it to the other. 2 goes into 2 one time, and you're left with x equals 8 divided by 2 is 4. There's your answer. Okay, so next one, we're going to start by expanding the same thing. So 2 times m is 2m. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, and then everything else stays the same. Negative 5 stays the same, equal sign stays the same, 13, and minus 4m stays the same. Okay, now we're going to start collecting our like terms. We can keep our equal signs lined up. So we'll put our m's on the left side. So I'm going to have 2m over here. I'm going to move this negative 4m over to be a positive 4m. Okay, and then we have our equal sign over here. We already have a 13, but now we're going to move this 6 over. Negative 6 turns to a positive 6. Negative 5 turns to a positive 5. Okay, so now we're going to simplify. 2m plus 4m gives us 6m. And then equals 13 plus 6 plus 5 gives us 24. And now in order to solve for m, we have to do the opposite of multiply, so we have to divide by 6. And if you do it on one side, you have to do it to the other side. So 6 goes into 6 once, so we're left with 1m. 24 divided by 6 gives us 4. Oh, that didn't look very good. Okay, let's go to the next question. Okay, so now we got a bigger one to tackle, but it's not that bad. You can do it. So 5 times y gives us 5y. And then 5 times negative 3 gives us negative 15. Now because there's nothing in front of this, but there's a negative, we know that it's a 1. So I can put it there. Negative 1 times y gives me negative y. Negative 1 times negative 2 gives me positive 2. And then equals 19. Okay, so now we're going to collect our like terms. So I'll keep my y's on the left side. So I'm going to have 5y from there and negative y. And there's no more y, so I'm going to put my equal sign. So I'm going to have my constants here. So I'll start with my 19. This negative 15, when you bring it over, turns to a positive 15. And this positive 2, when you bring it over, turns to a negative 2. So now we'll simplify. 5y, take away 1y, we are left with 4y. And then 19 plus 15, take away 2, gives us 32. Now in order to solve for y, right now it's multiplied by 4, so we have to do the opposite, which is divide by 4. And if you do it on one side, you have to do it to the other. 4 goes into 4 once. Okay, so we're left with 1y. And then 32 divided by 4 gives us 8. So there's your final answer there. Okay, so let's tackle the next one. So we're going to multiply everything in the bracket by the 2 out in front. So 2 times x gives me 2x. 2 times 3 gives me positive 6. Then I have my equal sign. And now I need to expand the next one. We'll multiply everything by the -3. So -3 times x is -3x. -3 times 5 gives me -15. And then I still have my -4 outside. Okay, so now we're going to collect like terms. So I'll keep my x's on the left. So 2x is here. And then I'm going to bring this -3x over, so it's going to turn to a positive 3x. And then put my equal sign because there's no more x's. And then over here I still have -15 and -4. And then I bring this +6 over and it turns to a -6. So now we'll do some simplifying. So 2x plus 3x, we now have 5x's. And then -15, take away 4, take away another 6, gives us -25. Now in order to solve for x, we have to divide by 5. So you divide on one side, you divide on the other side. 5 goes into 5 one time, so we're left with 1x. Negative divided by positive is a negative, and 25 divided by 5 is 5. So there's your answer. Okay. Last one here. So in this bracket, we're going to multiply everything by 4. So 4 times n gives us 4n. 4 times -3 gives us -12. Then we have our equal sign. And then we have a 2. And because there's nothing in front of this bracket except for a negative, we know that that's a 1 there. Okay? So we're going to multiply everything by -1. So -1 times 2n turns to a -2n. -1 times a -6 turns into a +6. Remember, pause and rewind as many times as you need, okay, in case I'm going too fast. So now we're going to collect like terms. So I'm going to keep my n's on the left side. So I have 4n here. And there's another n right here. So this -2n, when I bring it over, turns to a +2n. And there's no more n, so I'll put my equal sign. And now on the right side, I'm left with a 2. I'm left with a +6. And this -12, when you bring it over, turns to a +12. So now we can simplify here. 4 n's plus 2 more n's gives us 6 n's in total. And then over here, 2 plus 6 plus 12 gives us 20. Now we need to solve for n. So because it's multiplied by 6, we have to do the opposite, which is divide by 6. And if you do it on one side, you do it to the other. 6 divided by 6 is 1, so you're left with 1n. And then 20 divided by 6 doesn't go evenly, so we're left with this fraction, so 20 over 6. And we can reduce this fraction. Okay, so if we divide both of these by 2, 20 divided by 2 would give me 10. 6 divided by 2 would give me 3. Okay, and then let's look and see what we can make from this. So how many times does 3 go into 10? Well, 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. So we know it goes in 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12, so that's too much. So we know that it goes in perfectly 3 times. So 3 times 3 is 9. And we had to get to 10, so we have 1 left over. And you keep your same base as 3. Oh, what happened there? Silly thing. There, now it works. Okay, so our final answer is 3 1/3. And that's it for today's note.